Thank you for joining us. I am Rolly Hoyt. Newscasts like this will often lead off with stories of dramatic fires. We'll use technology to go live from the scene. But when it comes to fighting fires, there's not a whole lot of new technology available. It's still get there fast, bring water and tools to pump that water on the flames. Right now in Little Rock, even that simple formula is breaking down because the city's fire trucks are so old. Tonight, TH11 investigates the crisis with firefighters stuck on a truck in the effort to fix the problem.
New Year's Eve 2024, about 8 hours before fireworks ushered in a new year, Little Rock fire crews got the first calls to a burning high-rise apartment. Less than a mile and a half away from the Midtown Park apartments, Fire Station 7 is the closest to the scene. Dispatch sent out its ladder truck. But dispatch did not send the closest fire engine with water and hoses. Those firefighters dispatched themselves, though, on a pickup truck. All told, over the next 15 minutes, 17 different fire trucks from all across Little Rock converged on the high-rise to help get people out, including 7 fire engines. An admirable and adequate response. But the first truck on the scene, that Squad 7, with 3 firefighters aboard, it could not attack the fire. And the first 2 ladder trucks dispatched were more than 25 years old.
We are on the tail end, sort of a, I guess what you'd call an apparatus crisis.
The LRFD is like many big city fire departments trying to protect property and lives using aging equipment and trucks. The city has around 30 fire engines and ladder trucks in all its stations. Another 9 engines and 5 ladders are considered reserve units. But those standbys are often only a few years older than many pieces of equipment on the front lines. And old trucks break down a lot.
When something goes down and it's gone for a prolonged period of time and then there's no reserve to be put on and then we have to be on a pickup truck, now you're asking us to make extremely difficult decisions.
Matthew Stallings is the president of the Firefighters Union, Local 34. He's referring to the situation facing the crew of Engine 7 that New Year's Eve. Their 9-year-old E1 Cyclone 2 fire engine sat in the shop with engine trouble and waiting on a pair of giant tires. When a truck breaks down or needs maintenance, the department assigns a reserve unit. But when they run out of reserves, the department all too often makes a difficult choice. The crews normally on the engine spend their shift responding in one of the city's squad trucks, basically a pickup, dreading any calls to a fire.
We've been, essentially avoiding disaster on a pretty frequent basis. What do we do when that call does come in? Because it's not, you can't avoid it. It's inevitable that an emergency is going to happen, and what the public expects from us is for us to show up and help mitigate that emergency.
First of all, we don't like it. I don't like to have to respond in those kind of situations on an emergency scene with an alternative response vehicle, but I know it's the resources that are coming.
Little Rock City Manager Delphone Hubbard knows firsthand how acute the problem is. He leads the city's entire operations after decades as a firefighter, including as assistant chief, right as inflation hit big city budgets hard.
Price-wise, you're now talking about an engine that used to cost $500,000 in the mid-2000s. It's now $900,000. And your long ladder trucks, they used to be $1 million, $900,000 to $1 million. Now they're $2 million.
Pandemic relief funds gave forward-thinking cities the cash to cover the rising costs of trucks, but demand and industry consolidation caused another problem.
Whereas in the early to mid-2000s, you can purchase a fire truck and have like a 12 to 18-month turnaround, whereas now you have a 36-month to 48-month turnaround on purchasing a fire truck.
That's a long wait while the city's fleet gets older. And like we said, old trucks break down. We asked the city to show us its running spreadsheets indicating what reserve trucks they can use or need on a given day. It shows weeks and months with every reserve truck or engine either substituting for another piece of equipment or out of service itself, leading to crews rolling out in an alternative response vehicle.
I've seen our guys go in and start making rescues in a fire because they were the first there on a pickup truck, and that's our job.
In fact, that's what Engine 7 did on New Year's Eve 2024. Crew members Gary Seibel, Darren Jones, and Austin Bewley couldn't attack the fire, but they could make rescues. The incident report says they donned breathing packs, got to the source on the 2nd floor, and found a child in the thick smoke. They had stopped breathing. Quickly, after performing CPR, the child came to. They handed them off to paramedics, one of 4 people sent to the hospital in critical condition. The fire would claim 1 life, but not that child, and the crew of Engine 7 went right back to work.
The men and women that I work with, I know what they're going to do. They're going to show up and they're going to do their job. They're going to do everything they can with what they're given, despite the circumstances that they've been put in.
Chief Hubbard assures everyone that help is coming in both the near and midterm, thanks to a millage hike and COVID spending. 7 new trucks arrive in 2026.
So with those two combined, we've been able to replace over 45 to 55% of our fleet.
But Stallings warns City Hall and leaders beyond Little Rock rushing to replace their trucks. The problem is not going away.
But if we don't learn from these, points in time when we're in a serious crisis mode, it's just going to happen again.
And I spoke with Stallings just this morning. He told me he knew about 2 more crews working on pickups just this past weekend, right up until tonight. Those new trucks can't get here soon enough, and both Stallings and city officials say those first deliveries are due next month or by April.